Lauren, are you on the call?
Hey, yes, I'm here.
Okay. Are you ready to do the icebreaker first before we begin?
No, I'm currently traveling, so could somebody do it for me?
Well, we can actually skip that. That's fine. So I guess now we begin kind of explaining what we are going to vote on today. So our committee is for extending the role of area officers, so giving us kind of more things to do. We met yesterday as the committee board and discussed examples to give y'all to help y'all understand what we're voting on. So I'll go first. And my example was, in order to extend our roles, we can have a set number of chapter visits that area officers need to have completed. One of the board members can go next.
I'll go next. So this decision is completely up to y'all, but just so y'all better understand what we're trying to do here. An example of how we would expand the duties of area officers would be like have a dollar amount that we would need to fundraise each year and give to a charity.
The next board member.
Another example of what we could do is having a green hand orientation at COLT conferences, just explaining the basic rundowns of CDEs and LDEs to all new members.
Next board member.
Another thing that we could do is an area banquet, so that way, you know, we can put in the new officers for the next year.
Next board member. Lauren, I believe that's you.
I think what we can do is kind of do how colleges do and give a syllabus at the beginning of the year, listing everything that we need to get done and give it to area officers. That way they can divide up what they're doing. So in the long run, everyone will be doing more than we do on average.
Okay. So now that we kind of gave y'all all examples, I can read the committee, because this is the committee to evaluate the role of officers. I can read the committee issue rationals. So recommended actions to be taken. Louisiana FFA area officers dedicate a year of service to their respective area. However, the only major roles an area officer plays are facilitating COLT conference and serving as leadership delegates. Area officers should play a more active role in Louisiana FFA. Why is this proposal of importance to Louisiana FFA Association? Area officers undergo the nominating committee process at state convention and are obligated to attend a training conference. These officers are equipped to serve as active advocates for Louisiana FFA and agriculture. What effect, if any, will this proposal have on student membership? Depending on their enhanced roles, area officers could serve to increase membership and participation. So to make sure that we keep this on both sides, we listed some examples that of ways that we could enhance these roles, but we are also going to give you some cons. This way you are able to see both sides and effectively make your decision. So one con to this is that it can overwhelm the area officers. If any other board members have any other cons that they would like to share, now is the time to do so.
Another con to increasing the role of area officers would be that the election process would become more rigorous.
Next board member.
Another con could be that the area officers don't get it done. Maybe they have more to do in school or something like that. And with them being younger, because most area officers are still in high school, they'll be caught up in doing high school work instead of area work.
Next board member. Okay. I don't think there's anyone else that has a con to share. So before we begin discussion, is there anyone that has a question?
Kirsten, before we start, somebody just jumped on. It says PBFFA. What school are you from?
PDFFA?
Fort Barry.
Fort Barry?
Okay, is all good, Mr. Lejeune?
Yeah, Fort Barry, you're not scheduled on this particular committee. You can sit and watch if you'd like to, but you just can't debate or vote on it. You're probably scheduled for the two committees tomorrow.
All righty.
Let me look.
Okay.
Yeah, you're scheduled for committee 4 tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
All right, Kirsten.
Okay, we will now begin discussion.
Kirsten, I guess just to clarify for everyone, for those of you who are voting delegates, the state officers proposed this issue. They would like for you as voting delegates to come up with ideas of ways that you would like to see the area officers become more involved with FFA in Louisiana. So this is your opportunity now as delegates to discuss your thoughts on how you think area officers can play a bigger role, if you think they should play a bigger role. And if you do, what do you think those roles should look like? So right now, this is just an open discussion around the idea of what should area officers in Louisiana do. There's no bad ideas right now, as long as you're discussing area officers.
Right. In order to get this done, we need y'all to facilitate and talk. That is your job to make this decision. So we need everyone to participate and contribute to our discussion.
To get them started, Mr. Lejeune, could you pull up like the background information?
Yeah,
That's on the website?
perfect. Good idea, Jalen.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Okay, guys, just to add a little bit to what Mr. Lejeune was saying and what Kirsten was saying, if you want to see the area officers have a little bigger role in what goes on, let us know what you think about that. If you plan on running for area office or if you've been an area officer in the past, you know, I've been area advisors, Mr. Trish, I've been area advisor for a couple times now. And we have actually, me and myself and Mr. Lejeune and the state office have actually been trying to find ways to expand on the area officers' input of stuff they do. And I mean, we've done a little bit of this over the last couple of years. This past year with, not counting this past year because things was kind of goofy with COVID. But, if you think that, area officers should do a little more and, maybe be involved in certain things, talk about it. Like Mr. Lejeune said, there's no bad ideas, chapter visits, things like that, in your local area. Anything you come up with right now during discussion is fair game. And then you guys can vote on a little bit later on. If there's anything else I can clarify for you, just ask.
Thank you, Mr. Doug. Okay, so Mr. Lejeune pulled up background information for y'all to look at. That way we can start a discussion. So if you want to take a look at that, it's up on the screen for you to do so. We'll give you a few minutes to do that.
Kirsten, I also just dropped this link into the chat bar. So if you open the chat bar, it'll take you straight to this document so you can scroll through at your
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Lejeune.
I can give you a little background on all of this. These questions were composed by the area officers at SLDC back in March. Each year, we give them the opportunity to have state staff do research on their particular committee issue. This one had to do with the duties of area officers. So number one, the current duties, these are the things that area officers must attend currently within our system. So you can see it's not much. They do 2 days for AOT. They go to their area CDEs and LDEs, including forestry. And then they serve at state convention. Actually, I left one off. It should say area CDEs on here also. So those are the current requirements for area officers. They also wanted to know what are the current duties of state officers. This is what state officers do. These are all the required activities of state officers. So you can see it's quite a bit more. It's the entire summer.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of travel during the school year. And then for state officers as needed, they also do these activities. We were at the Capitol yesterday. We estimate that pretty close to the state officers this year have done at least 50 industry and government visits, not counting chapter visits. In a normal year, we try to get close to 100 chapter visits. So state officers are constantly traveling throughout the school year. Realize that a bunch of our state officers, most of them are in school, either in high school or in college. So one of the ideas was, can area officers take on a little more of this? Not these activities necessarily, but these as needed activities. Can area officers do more of this within their area to alleviate some of that burden off of state officers? One of the questions was, how much time do state officers spend in each area? That's a harder question to answer. I calculated as best as I could. Direct contact with area members or industries in each area. You can look through here and see how many hours they spend contact hours, or how many schools they would normally visit in a school year. And then the last question, how can area officers take the workload from state officers? I mean, that really just depends on how much you want area officers to do and how well we can train them.
Mr.
So
Lejeune, sorry.
Go ahead, Kirsten.
Just to clarify for them, do they need to address me whenever they're talking, or they're just going to discuss?
Yeah, go ahead and go through the chair. Raise your virtual hand and Kirsten will call on you just to keep it moving.
Okay, perfect. And so as voting delegates, guys, this is up to you. So this decision cannot be made unless we have you voting and discussing for it. So at the end of the discussion, we will have a final vote. But in order to have that, we need y'all to participate and be active in it.
Kirsten, I did get a question in the chat said, is COLT conferences required for area officers? We strongly encourage it. We strongly recommend it, but it has not been a mandatory thing. It really falls on the area advisor and the area officers as to whether or not they want to do that. They've had leeway to do pretty much whatever kind of event they wanted to do in their area. Just most of them prior to COVID chose to do that one. It's not necessarily a requirement.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, well, Mr. Doug, I see GT. Your
Yes,
hands up?
Madam Chairman, it sure is. And this is to, going through you, but I wanted to ask Mr. Lejeune a question as well. In the past, like for area officers, when we've gone to Capitol Day and such, it was a requirement that area officers attend Capitol Day. Could that be one of the things we add back in as a requirement for area officers to do, if it's possible, like maybe not a mandatory thing, but maybe as needed thing, or, make it as mandatory provided you're not during testing or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, we can add anything to the commitment form. We actually had a conversation about this yesterday. The state officers, we did a very scaled back version of Capitol Day yesterday that the state officers attended. And there is an idea of would it even be beneficial to combine SLDC and Capitol Day into the same time period so that area officers could go to SLDC and then the next day do Capitol Day. So there's all kinds of ideas of how to increase that level of involvement.
Because one other thing we were talking about the other day when we had our little meeting, and and I've me and you have talked about this quite a few times about adding stuff for the area officers to do, but like even making industry visits if you're in a local area of certain like area officers, like if you came to, like say Lafourche Parish, if you came to race some raw sugars, Kirsten and Hillary and Kylie could have actually, gone, do the tour with you guys. You know what I'm saying? I think that would be a way to get the area officers more involved, and you would bring in some people from our area, like the local areas, that would get people maybe on board with support and things like that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Doug, but we need to redirect it to the members. That was, thank you for saying that, but we do need to redirect the discussion to the members. So I'm not sure, am I allowed to call on anyone to at least start the discussion, Ms. Lejeune?
Yeah, I mean, call for volunteers again. If anyone has ideas, now's the time to generate them.
Okay. So we do need someone to volunteer to start the discussion, because like I said, without a discussion, you can't really make the decision. So okay, there we go. Bell City.
I agree with having the area officers have more play more of a role, so that way we can take some of the stress off of the state officers, because looking at the document, they have a lot of stuff to do, and that's very stressful, but nothing too time consuming for the area officers, I think, because like y'all had said, they still have school and homework and things to do. So I think it's important to have them do more things, like maybe stuff to help with the community, like donations or cleanup or things like that.
Okay. Bell City, please give your name to the secretary, which is Jalen. Or just state your name so that she can hear it.
Kaylee Webb.
Okay. Ms. Secretary, are you good?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Central Lafourche. You can go.
We might have an audio issue.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, well, we'll come back to you, Central.
Try to
Okay.
get your audio fixed. We can't hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Elton.
I think the area officers should take some of the responsibilities off of the state officers. I think some of the ways they can do that is go with the state officers to learn from them the first time, like how they go to area or other chapters to visit, take the area officers with them, and then after that, they can start doing their own chapter visits. Also, I think they should be able to get a sense of what the state officers are doing, like how they go to the Capitol or other businesses. And once they get a sense or idea of what they're doing, they can start doing them when other members can't. Caleb Lemoyne, the Louisiana FFA state president.
State your name so that.
Noah Dugan.
Okay.
Our Louisiana FFA president, Caleb Lemoyne, is from our school, and I was talking with him, and he told me how stressful it is to go with all of these things while he was preparing for college graduation and all the work he has over here. So I think it would be a good idea for the area officers to help them. So if they can do some of the things that they do, it'll definitely lower the stress level and the workload off of them. So I think it would be a good idea for them to do some of their stuff.
Okay. State your name so that the secretary can get it down.
Noah Dugan.
And he's from Elton.
Where is he from?
Elton.
Thank you.
Just a reminder of parliamentary procedure, guys. Before you speak, please address me as Madam Chair. We need to follow parliamentary procedure. Central, is your audio fixed and you want to try again? We still can't hear you. It's muffled, so we'll try to come back. Would anyone else like to volunteer for discussion?
I can say something, Madam Chair.
Okay, you can state it.
Okay. I agree with what has already been previously said, that our state officers have a lot of responsibility and that area officers should also take some of that load. But I would also like to add on to that with saying that area officers can do more events more locally, especially since state officers are all over the state. Area officers can do more locally in their specific area.
State your name and chapter, please.
I'm Sydney Leger with North Shore High School FFA.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, you got that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Trying to see if anyone else's hand is raised. Anyone else like to contribute to the discussion?
Was Central Lafourche ever able to get their
Oh, yeah.
order fixed?
Central Lafourche, do you want to try again? It's kind of funny. It's still muffled.
If you want to, go ahead and type in the chat bar.
Yeah, that's good.
Say
How
we
about
can
y'all
read
do that? Yeah. Type in the chat bar and then we can go from there. And I'll just state it. I'll say what you put. Chat. Okay. Yeah, Central, like you just said, put whatever you want to contribute to the discussion in the chat bar, and I'll restate it to the committee. Okay, well, we're kind of waiting on Central for that. While we're waiting, does anyone else want to contribute to the discussion? Ponchatoula?
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
Madam Chair. Yeah. I would like to. Oh, Jesus! I'm not fully here right now.
It's okay.
I agree with what has been stated before about area officers need to take some of the like stuff off of the state officers because of areas should be. State shouldn't have that much to. Okay, now I'm confused.
We got what you wanted to say. Thank you. State your name and chapter, please.
Ethan Rigsby, Ponchatoula.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. It seems like we're all agreeing that that we are in favor of increasing the role of area officers. So if anyone would like to give examples of this, your own examples, now's the time to do so.
Kirsten, let me, a couple things. I think one of your discussion leaders is gonna give a prompt, but we don't have enough people here to break off into small groups, so we can just do these small group discussions here.
Okay.
So he's gonna do that, but also to help all of you out, let me pull up what the committee report from the last committee looks like so that you have an idea of what it is you're actually kind of working on here. Now, granted, this is not finalized yet. I've still got to pretty it up and put it on letterhead and that sort of thing. But let me share this with you so you can at least see it. This is what you're working towards. So the committee that just met at 8 o'clock, they're reviewing COLT conferences. They came up with 3 recommendations. So what they did is the delegates came up with each of these ideas. They voted on each idea one at a time. And then once all 3 ideas were down, they voted on the report as a whole. So that's what we're trying to do right now. Based on the conversations you're having, do you have 1, 2, 3, 4 good ideas that you want to recommend to the delegates on Friday and to the executive board regarding the role of area officers? So just to give you a little bit of direction as to where we're going right now. Can't hear you, Kirsten.
Okay, so were y'all able to hear when I said y'all can each give y'all own examples?
Yes, ma'am, we were.
Okay, I wanted to make sure. Okay, so as Mr. Lejeune just said, we want to get 3 ideas down and vote on those things and then vote on it as a whole. So does anybody have one idea of increasing the role of area officers that y'all would like to vote on?
Ethan just brought up a great point in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Let's see what he said. Do y'all think that area officers should go on chapter and industry visits by themselves, or should they team up with state officers? So that's one idea that we can start discussing right now. Do we think that area officers should start going on industry visits? So Elton.
Madam Chairman, I think that they at first should go with the state officers to get a sense, an idea of what they're doing. And after the first or second visit, then they can start going by themselves after they know what they're doing.
Thank you. State your name and chapter.
Noah Dugan, Elton, FFA.
Okay, let's see. Okay, and again, if you would like to be addressed to speak, have your hand raised or address me.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, speaker.
I agree with the previous statements, except for I believe that it shouldn't just be 1 or 2 meetings with the state officers. I believe that at first they should probably start off with the state officers, but then slowly gain more independence with them. So like not necessarily just only 2 completely with the state officers and then all on their own. I feel like at first the state officers should slowly introduce them to having more independence in the conferences.
Okay, thank you. State your name and chapter, please.
Sydney Leger with North Shore FFA.
Madam Secretary, say when you're ready.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay. So Central, before I move on, now that Central finally commented, Central said, I do believe that the area officers should become more involved. I think that a huge way to do this would be to do more chapter visits. I believe that going to schools locally, especially the middle schools, would be beneficial to Louisiana FFA. The students are first being introduced into ag classes and the FFA in grades 7 and 8. I think that the area officers going to these middle schools and even high schools would take some stress off of the state officers and benefit the FFA organization by bringing more interest to the younger students coming into the FFA. Was everyone able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we were.
Okay, thank you. So does anyone want to add on to that?
Madam Chair.
Yes, speaker.
So I actually really like this idea. I think that's a big part of kind of the reason why a lot of people don't join the FFA. And I think it's really important to get kids involved whenever they're younger. That way, whenever they're older, they can actually fill in some of those leadership positions that we have and not just kind of like have everything thrown at them and like not know what they're doing.
State your name and chapter, please.
Nikayla Shepherd with Ruston FFA.
While our secretary is writing that down, let's keep in mind to please stay on task. What we're discussing is if we feel that area officers should go on more industry visits. So let's please keep that in mind before we continue. Ms. Secretary, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Our Sentinel, you have something to say? Lauren?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I feel that it should be a part of the area officer training when they learn how to do industry visits. The state officers should teach our area officers how to conduct a meeting.
Okay, thank you. So as a board member, you can contribute to the discussion, but we want to keep it to our delegates. But thank you, Lauren, that actually helps and that gives them a better insight. So thank you for sharing that. So because we went on off task, I'm gonna ask if anyone else has discussion to contribute, and if not, we will begin voting. Okay, so all in favor of having area officers go on industry visits, say aye.
Aye.
Hey, Kirsten,
Yes.
a little Zoom voting advice. Try to do it by general consent. If you're doing voice votes on Zoom, that's going to be pretty much impossible to decipher. So just ask if anybody is opposed, and if there's opposition, we can do a vote.
Okay. Okay, yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, so does anybody oppose? Okay, no one opposed. We will have area officers. We are majority rules. We are in favor of area officers going on industry visits. Madam Secretary, is it down? Is it written down?
Yes. How many people besides leadership delegates are in this Zoom?
Mr. Lejeune?
We have 10 people that started. We'll take care of that towards the end. Don't worry about that right now. It's all by general consent. You don't have to take a vote tally until we get to the very final one with the report.
Oh,
Okay. Thank you.
So we need a second idea that involves increasing the role of area officers to discuss. So would anyone like to start this discussion and present their idea?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, speaker.
I would like to vote on a topic that we have already discussed, that area officers should be more involved in chapter visits.
Okay, so we will vote on that towards the end, but as Mr. Lejeune said, we need to get those three ideas down and make sure that we are good with that. So
Kirsten, I think she's wanting to make that one of the three.
Oh,
if I'm understanding correctly.
Are you North Shore too? Are you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm so sorry. You can
Totally
do that.
Fine. I just wanted to bring up the point that since area officers are more local than state officers, it would be a good idea for them to be more involved with certain chapters.
Okay. So if I'm correct, you want them to be assigned chapters to visit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So state your name and chapter and the secretary will get you down.
Sydney Leger with North Shore FFA.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone want to continue to contribute to the discussion? Anybody else have anything to say about how they feel? Okay. Lauren, is your hand up for that? Or you just left it up by accident?
No, I already spoke. I just left it up by accident.
Okay. So anyone else?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, speaker.
I do have a question for some of the area officers who would be going to these chapter visits. I know a few of my friends who are area officers or who are running for them don't have ways of transportation to get there. what are we going to do if they don't have transportation, or if something comes up and they will not be able to go?
That is a point that you can make within the discussion to your fellow delegates. You can actually make that point right now. And talk to them.
I guess the point is make a recommendation. What do you think we should do if that happens? Because we really don't have a policy about that. State officers are expected.
So you
What
can
would
make
you
that
like?
recommendation.
I don't really know how to solve that problem. I'll just bring it up to y'all, asking if y'all have any ideas on what to do with that.
Okay, yeah, that's what you could just to help you out. You could have said that you could have addressed me and then told them that you feel that there will be issues with transportation. Therefore, you feel that this is not a good idea.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. State your name and chapter, please.
Noah Dugan, Elton, FFA.
Does anyone have anything else to say along with that? And remember, we're to remind you, we are saying that her idea is that they should be assigned chapters to visit just as state officers are. So we can talk about that. And we have one person that felt that we should, and we have one person that did not because of transportation. So let's see, anyone else? Okay. Okay, Mr. Lejeune, do I ask if anyone opposes at this moment?
Yeah, just do the same thing.
Okay.
General consent vote on it.
Okay. Is there anyone who opposes this idea?
I oppose it.
Okay.
So
Ms.
go ahead
Lejeune?
and have them vote by raising their hand. So all in favor, raise their hands. All opposed, raise their hands.
Okay. So at this moment, we will vote by raising our hands. All who are in favor of having each area officer committed to certain chapters to visit, please have your hand raised. All opposed, keep your hand down. Madam Secretary, we'll give them a little while longer, but once we give them enough time, please count votes and announce it, and we will make our decision. Rustin said that they cannot find a hand, but they're for it, Madam Secretary. So take that into consideration. Madam Secretary, you got it down? You good?
Give me a moment, please.
Okay. And then North Shore also said that they cannot find the hand button, but they're for it.
That makes 7.
That makes 7.
7 of the participants are for the motion.
And okay, so with that being said, majority rules, we agree that area officers should have should have certain chapters to visit, each be assigned certain chapters. You can all put your hand down now that we have clarified this. Okay, so we will now move on to our third idea. Does anybody want to contribute to that?
Madam Chairman.
Yes, speaker.
I think that area officers should maybe do more stuff in the community to kind of give more recognition to National FFA.
Okay. So we should have community projects. Does that sound good to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. State your name and chapter, please.
Kaylee Webb from Bell City.
Okay, so she just stated that she feels that we should have that area officers should have community projects. Is there a discussion that we would like to have on this topic?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, speaker.
I'm for this because I know with our chapter, we have cemetery cleanups and we help with our community farmers market, and our community is always thanking us, and it helped us for fundraisers because they come out and support us after certain events. So if we can do this with the area officers, I think it could really bring a lot of more recognition to the National FFA, and it could really bring the FFA, the National FFA, more recognition is basically what I'm trying to say.
Okay, thank you. State your name and chapter, please.
Noah Dugan, Elton, FFA.
Thank you. We'll give the secretary a second, and then if anyone else wants to contribute to the discussion, you may now do so.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. So now anyone else who wants to contribute to the discussion, do so.
Madam Chairman?
Oh, that was one person, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Speaker.
I come from a more city-like place, so we don't have a tight community. And I feel that our area officers bringing together our community could help our community learn more about FFA and also help our community as a whole. So I am for this.
Thank you. State your name and chapter, please.
Sydney Leger with North Shore FFA.
Thank you. We want to keep the discussion going. Anyone else?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, speaker.
I think someone wrote something in the chat. Did you?
Oh, yes, thank you. Chat. Okay, so community. Ethan said that should area officers hold fundraisers or days of service to help out with the community. So yeah, that was that's kind of what we're talking about right now. And so I'm guessing, agrees with that, and he was saying that. So I guess anyone else would like to add on to that? Okay. One last time before we begin voting, would anyone else like to discuss? Okay. Is there anyone who opposes area officers doing community service projects? There are no opposers. We all agree that area officers should do community service projects. Madam Secretary, I believe that is the 3 ideas that we need.
You can add more if anybody has others. I'm not saying you have to be limited to 3.
Okay, that's fine.
Around 3, but if anyone else has any other ideas, that's acceptable too.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Before we move on to our big discussion and the main voting, does anyone else have another idea?
Before we vote, would y'all like to review like the 3 points that we've made?
Yes, that is perfect.
Jalen, I made you a co-host, so go ahead and share your screen and pull it up.
Oh, okie dokie.
Might be my kid.
Let's see. Share my screen. Share. Okay, can y'all see?
Yes, yes, you can.
Okay. So, right in this area right here, we were essentially debating whether or not we should do industry visits. So, and we voted on that, and y'all decided that we should. So industry visits was the first point that we made under this motion. And then the second point was chapter visits. So y'all discussed that here. And then our final point that we made was community service. And y'all discussed that near the end. Right?
Jalen, can you pull those three out, just copy them and go to the top of the page and put them in one space on their own so we can see them just by themselves?
Yes, I'll do that right now. I'll just type them.
Okay, so we have another, Jalen, we have another idea that just came in from Ethan. Are you ready for me to tell you who it is?
Yes. Do you want me to stop sharing?
No, you can keep sharing, that way they can look at that right now. Just so that while you're typing, you can keep it shared.
Okay.
Ethan Bratton, I'm not sure what his chapter is. I know who it is, but I'm not sure what his chapter is. Should area officers post annual newsletters or blogs about their plans for the next month? That's a really good one. So, Jalen, now is the time to stop sharing your screen, and we will discuss that if we have anyone who wants to discuss, because that is another idea that we would like to have down and vote on before we get to the main voting. Does anyone have discussion on why they feel that why they are for it or against area officers doing annual newsletters?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Speaker.
I'm for this. It would be a good idea to have a newsletter or a blog about it, so other chapters or even other communities will be able to know when these area officers will be coming, and that way they'll be able to have a plan. They'll know not to schedule anything that day, or they can be able to prepare for these area officers. And it'll be a great idea for area officers to have this, because it also gives them a way to remind themselves, a way to check that they have to go to this day.
Thank you. Please state your name and chapter.
Noah Dugan, Elton, FFA.
Madam Secretary, say when you're ready.
You are from Elton, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Would anyone else like to contribute to the discussion?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Speaker.
I am actually against this for the reason that having a newsletter or a blog is an added expense that's not needed. I feel that area officers can get their plans out through emails or phone calls. It doesn't necessarily need to be something as large as a newsletter.
State your name and chapter, please.
Sydney Leger with North Shore FFA.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to contribute to the discussion? Okay, also guys, the kind of point of the whole addressing me stuff, I kind of don't want to have to say, does anyone else want to contribute to the discussion? Does anyone else want to contribute to this discussion? we want y'all to have a discussion on your own. Yeah, you need to address me due to parliamentary procedure, but we want y'all to facilitate this discussion. So you don't necessarily have to wait for me to say, does anyone else want to contribute to the discussion? We want to keep it moving and flowing. So as long as you address me first, then you're good to speak. Okay, I'm not hearing any other discussions. So does anyone oppose to us doing a newsletter?
I do.
Okay, we will now tally votes using the raise hand button. It should be located at the bottom of your screen. If you click more, you're gonna see different things. I'm pretty sure there should be a hand raise motion for you to do. So now if you are for this motion, raise your hand. Madam Secretary, give them a second and then you could begin tallying up votes and announce them when done.
As of right now, only 3 out of the 10 participants have raised their hand in favor of the motion.
Okay, so we majority rules, we are against this motion, and area officers, we are against having area officers having newsletters, annual newsletters put out. Madam Secretary, say when you're ready.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else, before we continue to the main voting, does anyone else have any ideas that you would like to have considered? Okay, I'm gonna ask one more.
Are you raising your hand or did you just not put it back down?
Oh yeah. Did someone just not put it back down? Oh, I guess they just, okay. Ms. Lejeune, I can't tell, is the hand down now?
Yeah, it's down. I think you're good. You can probably go ahead, Kirsten, Jalen, if you want to pull the screen back up again.
Yep, let's do that.
Y'all are probably good now just to consider the report and vote on it. And we can move on.
Okay. So Jalen will now share her screen for you all to view the report, and then we will vote on the committee. We will vote on our motion, which is to increase the role of area officers. So Jalen, when you're ready, just share your screen and we'll be able to see the committee report from what we have talked about so far.
What you'll need to do, Kirsten, once it comes up, you'll need someone to move that the committee report be accepted as written. Get a second. Okay. Everybody will get one more chance to debate on it, then we'll take one final vote.
Does anyone need me to clarify what Mr. Lejeune just said? Okay. Jalen, you can share your screen.
Okay. Sharing. And I'm still typing a little bit. So.
Okay, that's fine. As long as they can see what we have right now. Okay, so we will now have someone move the committee's report as written, and then we need a second.
Kirsten, just go ahead and wait for Jalen to finish typing it so everybody can see it.
Okay, we'll wait for Jalen to finish.
Okay, those are our final 3 points.
Okay. So as I
Uh,
stated before,
check.
sorry, as I stated before, we need someone to move it and accept the committee's report as written, and then we need a second.
Okay. Move it.
Okay, can we have someone accept the committee's report as written?
I move that we can just read it.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, speaker.
I move that our area officers, 3 points? Okay, I move that our area officers should make industry visits with state officers, gradually working up to the point where they will be able to conduct visits by themselves. That our area officers should conduct more chapter visits, and that area officers should complete community service projects as a way to give back to the community and raise awareness of FFA.
Thank you.
Second.
Would anyone like to second this motion?
Second.
Both of you, please, one at a time. North Shore, you could go first. State your name and chapter, please.
Sydney Leger with North Shore FFA.
And then, Madam Secretary, let me know when you're ready for the second person.
I'm ready.
Okay, second, the one person.
Noah Dugan, Elton, FFA.
Thank you. Sorry if I butchered your name also.
Okay, now that we have accepted the committee's report as typed, we will now, Mr. Adjourn, will we now begin voting for our main motion, extending the role of area officers?
Yeah, if there's no debate on it, go back up to your 3 points. Scroll up, Jalen. Go ahead and highlight it so people can see it.
Yes, sir.
There you go. So that's what you're debating and voting on. If there's no debate on it, you can go ahead and vote. And if that's what you vote to approve, that's what will be in the report that'll go to the delegates on Friday.
Is there any debate on if area officers should extend, a role of area officers should be extended? It is highlighted on our committee's report for you to look at. So if there's any debate, please go now. Okay, there's no further debate, so we will now begin voting. If you oppose area officers, the role of area officers being extended, please speak now. Okay, we have no opposers, majority rules. We have agreed that the role of area officers should be extended.